नमस्कार। MS स्वामीनाथन रिसर्च फाउंडेशन द्वारा आयोजित वार्षिक सम्मेलन में भोजन, पोषण और जीवन से जुड़ी मौजूदा चुनौतियों पर चर्चा की जाएगी। इस कार्यक्रम को उपराष्ट्रपति एम वेंकैया नायडू वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग के जरिए संबोधित कर रहे हैं। आइए आपको सीधा लिए चलते हैं।
ஆலோசனை கூட்டத்தில் கலந்து கொள்வதில் நான் முகுந்த மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். Whenever I hear the speech of Swaminathan ji or his writings, I feel that I am getting enlightened on a very important subject for the humanity as well as for us in India, because we are basically an agricultural country. And food is very vital and important for all human beings and other creatures also. I have so much admiration for him. He is a fatherly figure for all of us, as I am a son of a farmer. And I feel proud that I am son of a farmer. He is the guiding force and is a walking encyclopedia on agriculture. His contribution to the growth of agriculture and expansion of agriculture, not only in India, even many other countries, is really praiseworthy. I am delighted to join all of you today to inaugurate the virtual consultation, Science for Resilient Food, Nutrition and Livelihoods, being organized by the MS Swaminathan Foundation. I am happy that Professor Swaminathan ji, the visionary scientist, genetist, international administrator, and the architect of India's Green Revolution, who I hold in the highest regard, is with us today, and we could hear his views on agriculture. I will take note of whatever he said, and I will try to really pursue it at various levels, including in Parliament. The land rights to women, farmers, is very important. In our system, the land rights are given to men. Slowly, changes are coming with regard to other property and all. But basically, the land rights has to be given to women also. Even the house patta, the title, and all properties of the family, they should be there in the name of both male and female member, that is husband and wife. It is heartening to note that MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, founded by Professor MS Swaminathan ji, aims to accelerate use of modern science and technology for agriculture and rural development to improve lives and livelihoods of communities. I especially commend the foundation for dedicatedly following a pro-poor, pro-woman and pro-nature approach. This is very important. I am confident that this virtual consultation, Science for Resilient Food, Nutrition and Livelihoods, will go a long way in evolving new strategies and practices to promote food security and nutrition. My dear sisters and brothers and delegates who are participating from various parts of the globe, in 2015, the world adopted the visionary framework of the Sustainable Development Goals, what we call as SDGs. The global community took a solemn pledge to leave no one behind. That was the pledge we all have taken. With the 10 years to go until 2030, it is time to take stock of the progress made so far. Where are we in terms of achieving the zero hunger and good health and well-being goals? This is a question we all have to introspect. The United Nations report titled The State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World 2020 states that the number of people suffering from hunger in the world has been slowly increasing since 2014. The latest estimate suggests that 9.7% of the world population, or nearly 750 million people, were exposed to severe levels of food insecurity in 2019. The report also says that around 690 million people in the world are estimated to have been undernourished in 2019. Globally, 6.9% of the children under 5 or 4.7 million were affected by wasting in 2019, and more than 9 out of 10 stunted children lived in Africa and Asia. This is clearly not good news. Of course, I do understand there is a growth of the population in spite of the progress we made. We are producing record food grains. But the problem is, one is the nutrition. Second is the growth of the population. The policy planners at all levels, the political leaders of all hues, they should focus their attention on population planning also. We need to do things differently and more quickly. That is the call before all of us. We need urgent, focused and concerted action at national, regional and global levels. India has made significant strides in reducing hunger, undernourishment, infant mortality and stunting and wasting among children in the recent years. The Government of India has accorded highest priority to combating health and nutrition problems in the country. Some of the recent initiatives underway include the launch of Pradhana Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, which has benefited more than 98.16 lakh of women. The Poshan Abhiyan, real-time Aadhaar-linked beneficiary level monitoring and performance-based joint incentives for the frontline workers. Pan-India launch of rotavirus vaccination to prevent diarrhea is also another initiative. The recently announced education policy, national education policy, includes a provision to provide a nutritious breakfast to school children. This is a welcoming step, but much more needs to be done. Especially in the context of the pandemic, the problem of hunger and undernourishment may become more acute because of the loss of livelihoods and global economic slowdown. We must also realize that much of the recent increase in food security can be attributed to the greater number of conflicts, often exacerbated by climate-related shocks, degradation of natural resources and water scarcity. Even in some peaceful settings, food security has deteriorated as a result of economic slowdown, threatening access to food for the poor. The need to invest in resilient communities equipped to face these challenges has never been more urgent than today. We must build resilient individuals, households, as well as communities, healthy, socially connected, prepare people are better able to withstand, manage and recover from the disasters. Human society has made major advances in science over the last few years. This knowledge has to be proactively adopted and blended with the traditional knowledge of indigenous communities. We must use this scientific knowledge for human welfare, for resilience and reduction of hunger and nutritional deficiencies. What is required is a concerted action by the public, civil society, Panchayat Raj institutions, local bodies, and states and central government. International cooperation will help to accelerate progress and in achieving lasting success. My dear sisters and brothers, delegates, if we are to ensure food and nutrition security to millions, there is imminent need to take up agriculture in a more efficient, resilient, profitable and productive manner. Pre-harvest and post-harvest losses has to be minimized. Market infrastructure and the national road and transportation network must be improved. Farmers should be able to get their produce from the farm gates to markets at a reasonable cost. We must set up investments in improved storage, processing and preservation to retain the nutritional value of food products rather than investing in highly processed foods. food, agriculture and trade policies has to be constantly reviewed and updated to suit the times. We must also reorient our agricultural priorities towards more nutrition sensitive food. The health impacts associated with the poor diet quality are significant. Diets of poor quality are a principal contributor to the multiple burdens of malnutrition, stunting and wasting, micronutrient deficiencies, overweight and obesity. Both under nutrition early in life and overweight and obesity are significant risk factors for the non-communicable diseases. Our policy should promote investments in irrigation infrastructure. Likewise, national food and agriculture strategies and programs should set up investments in research and development (R&D) to raise productivity of nutritious foods and help reduce their cost. There is much to achieve in terms of anticipatory research where we can take proactive action. Farmers in villages are benefited from the anticipatory warning as we see from the current experience with the locust attacks. Similar anticipatory warnings are being done in natural hazards such as floods through informing individual farmers. Anticipatory research, participatory research and translational research, that is converting theoretical know-how to field level to do, that is all important. Our laboratories must be firmly linked to our farms and fields, and technology transfer and farmer education must happen seamlessly. We must also make the best possible use of information and communication technology to remain connected with the farmers so that they may receive timely advice and inputs crucial to the success of their crops. India is a treasure trove of traditional wisdom when it comes to agriculture. Instead of rejecting this wisdom as an archaic, we must make every attempt to integrate the best of these techniques into agriculture along with the modern technology. The government has set a target. The Prime Minister is very keen of doubling the farmers' income by the year 2022. It has recently announced a number of measures that will help us achieve these ambitious goals. I am not going to elaborate them. Encouraging contract farming through state governments by promulgation of Model Contracting Farming Act, upgradation of the Gramin huts, ENAM, distribution of soil health cards to farmers, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, per drop more crop, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bhima Yojana, Kisan Credit Card are the major among the several effective interventions made by the government to improve the lives of our farmers. This conference will undoubtedly help the national policies more robust and provide valuable insights that will accelerate the pace. I am hopeful that this will provide the necessary impetus to the process of policy implementation. I am confident that this timely conference will guide each one of us in leadership positions to creatively shape the future of our nation and ensure not only food security but also nutrition security and stable, rewarding livelihoods. My dear friends, particularly from abroad, who are all participating in this, and the other scientists, please note, this year, this pandemic, the corona, has affected the life and livelihood of many. One section with all these challenges, which has stood firm and then produced food grains in a record manner. All food grains, whether it is paddy, whether it is wheat, whether it is pulses, you take anything, the output, the increase over the last year is really praiseworthy. I salute the Indian farmers. In spite of all these challenges, they were able to produce not only enough food, more than the previous production. This is because of the commitment and the caliber and the native knowledge of our farmers. They are able to do it in spite of, as I told you, the restrictions and the movement problems of other things where different sections of the country had to face certain difficulties. But in spite of difficulties, Indian farmers have produced record food grains. That's why I said hats off to them. My dear friends, once again, I feel very happy to be here. I would have been more happy instead of virtual if it is an actual conference where all of us could meet, greet, talk to each other, exchange views. But you know, that's not in our hands. The present situation has made this conference has to be consulted into has to be converted into a virtual consulting on a very important subject. I would like to pay my respects to Professor Swaminathan ji. I wish him much more long and a healthy life so that he will continue to guide us in the future also. And I would like to compliment all the delegates, renowned scientists who are all participating in this conference from different parts of our country and different parts of the globe. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind. Nandri. Vanakkam.
अभी आपने देखा उपराष्ट्रपति एम वेंकैया नायडू का संबोधन। उन्होंने अपने संबोधन में भोजन और विज्ञान से जुड़ी हुई चुनौतियों का जिक्र किया। एमएस स्वामीनाथन रिसर्च फाउंडेशन द्वारा आयोजित ये कॉन्फ्रेंस 7 से 10 अगस्त तक चलेगी। इसी के साथ खास पेशकश में फिलहाल इतना ही। रुकेंगे एक छोटे से ब्रेक के लिए।